Joink. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Let's see. Welcome to part 2 of this thing. So I'm going to be talking about now 28 years later, the Bone Temple. And I got to see it on Thursday, opening night with a group of friends. And overall, I didn't mind it. Wasn't bad. I was hoping the scope would be bigger from the previous one, or kind of get in line with the first 2 installments. So the scope was gigantic. It covered the whole world. So spoilers, we're going to get into spoilers here. I usually don't like to get into spoilers, but there's some important stuff we got to talk about that is spoiler-tastic. So go ahead and skip to the end if you don't want to hear the spoilers here. So, the scope is small. We'll start with that. The scope is smaller than the previous one. It's a smaller group of individuals. It's not even a village this time. The cast is like that big when it went up in the credits. Very small. But we do see like the child that survived at the end of 28 years later. He's a big part of this. He's been inducted into this cult that shows up at the end. There's like these guys in these blonde wigs jumping around doing parkour and stuff that show up at the end. Radically weird tone shift with these new guys showing up. And then they're like, hey, we're going to be the new characters now, and then that one ends. And I was like, well, they're probably not going to follow through on that because they've never followed through on any of these little teasers, but they do actually, and those guys are the whole movie. So these parkour guys, bad guys, very bad guys. The head of them, they're all called Jimmy, they're called the Jimmies, and they're like, you eventually find out it's like a cult of devil worshippers is what they are. And this one guy's in charge, and he wants to stay in charge. And, typical cult type stuff. He'll say whatever he needs to say to get these kids to believe him and to stay in power where he is. And so they cross paths with Voldemort, the guy from the previous one. He's the doctor who constructed the Bone Temple that you see in the previous one. And it makes this lead guy kind of think about, well, how can I use this to my advantage? And so he strikes a deal with Voldemort, and he's like, well, if you convince my little cult of kids here that you are the Prince of Darkness, then they'll fall in line with me again, and we'll go on our merry ways, and we won't destroy you in your Bone Temple, basically. And so Voldemort agrees, and really that leads up to Act 3. Act 1 and 2 is just kind of set up, and Act 1 and 2 I found to be quite boring, honestly. I was like, where is this going? Like, yeah, you've got Voldemort's back, and he's a cool character, and the Bone Temple's cool, and then you have the Alpha again who's running around. And, he's horrifying, but it's like we're just sticking with these characters. And I was like, where is this leading to? It all is going somewhere, so stick with it. I was kind of bored for a while, but it leads up to that amazing third act that is well worth it. It totally changed my mind on this movie once they show up at that Bone Temple and Voldemort comes out and he's all made up and he wants to look like the Prince of Darkness, and he's jumping around, he's throwing fire around and doing all kinds of crazy dances and stuff to Iron Maiden. Really cool moment. And then we get a story thread in there as well about this Alpha and how, and they already kind of started to set up in the previous one how these zombies are capable of learning and thinking and doing things that are a little less predictable. And we see that paid off in full with the Alpha. Like that moment where it clicks with the Alpha and it clicks with the rest of the zombies that are standing around looking at him. Horrifying moment, and one of the best moments of this movie. So that was really cool to see that. I don't want to spoil too much about that moment. Just watch that part for yourself. And then we have this grand finale at the Bone Temple, and there's a big climax, and there's a scuffle between the Jimmies and Voldemort, and then eventually you get the Alpha involved there towards the end. And it was kind of cool. It all led somewhere. It was fun. I appreciated this one, even though Danny Boyle did not direct this one. He was involved creatively, and presumably he's going to be in charge of / directing the third film in this trilogy, 28 years later, undisclosed subtitle. So that leads to the big spoiler. I feel bad spoiling it, but I have to. I'm dressed up as the character. I'm Cillian Murphy, who actually does return in this movie. So all the hype was there, all the buzz was correct. Cillian Murphy does show up at the end. He is one of the little tease moments that all these movies are known for. At the very end, there's like a little 5-minute scene where it's him, he's back, and it's clearly him, and it's his daughter, and it's like, where's he been? What's he been up to? And they just barely kind of touch upon it, and then something's about to happen. A threat is coming, and he's like, "Oh, we got to prepare for battle," and then that's the end of the movie. And it's just a tease, but Cillian Murphy's there. And it's the first time he's back since 2002 in the original. That's why I had to dress up as him for this. I'm so glad that they delivered on this and brought him back. He is what made the movie for me. He was the cherry on the sundae of this movie. Everything in the third act was already amazing, and then this was just like, okay, I'm back on board with this whole thing, Mr. Boyle. Let's see where this goes now. And so, not only now is Cillian Murphy back, but now we have the Alpha, who's still running around doing his thing, and he can think clearly now. He's been reformed in a way, and that was kind of the whole thing with this one. Sorry to spoil it, but it's like, is this rage virus, does it take over one's mind, or does it allow you to, or is it something you can overcome? Does it just cloud your mind, or does it take over your mind? So that is answered, and yeah, through experimentation, the Alpha is able to overcome, and he's able to overpower all the other zombies. That was pretty cool too. So now leading into this third one, whenever it may or may not come, there's not even a title for it yet, or like any solid behind the scenes set in stone stuff for it yet. But I predict that it'll be a full-on Cillian Murphy adventure, and his path will cross with the Alpha and any other returning characters that we haven't seen. It would be great if they brought in some characters from Part 2, and any other remaining characters from 1. Just make it a whole, just recap the whole franchise, bring everybody together in the finale, find some actual cure, which I think that's what the Alpha is going to be all about, and everyone works together, and they're able to overcome this rage virus and move on 28 years later. So that is kind of the little recap of this whole thing and my thoughts on the whole thing, and I'm excited for Part 3 now. At the start of Part 2, I didn't know if I was, but now I am. I want to see more Cillian Murphy. I want to see more of the Alpha. It would be cool if they found a way to bring back the Voldemort guy. Yeah, I think it's in good hands now with this trilogy. Just don't make Act 1 and 2 so boring, please. Like, make it all very, very fun, hit the ground running. I want to see a bigger worldview with what they're going to do with 3. And that would be that would be the perfect conclusion as far as I'm concerned. Then they don't have to make any more. Just don't even bother making more. That'll be satisfying enough. So, there it is. There's everything you need to know about 28 days later, 28 weeks later, 28 years later, and 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Should part 3 of this trilogy come out in the next year or so, I'll definitely be covering that one. But in the meantime, let's tease ahead a little bit to next week. Next week is going to be very exciting. There's a local screening held by a friend of mine, and I'm hoping to have him here as the plan to tell you all about it. He's going to be showing the worst film of all time. And I'm not talking about Plan 9 from Outer Space, I'm talking about a modern worst film of all time. And you film nerds out there like myself, when I say the worst film of all time, you may very well know exactly which one I'm talking about. It came out in 2003. Just nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. It's so incomprehensive. It's so nonsensical. It's so laughable in every possible way. It's just the greatest bad film that we've ever seen in our time. So there's a very special screening of that, which will be held on my birthday, by the way. And I'm hoping to talk to my buddy about that whole thing next week. And that's the plan. And I'll be wearing a costume that reflects that, which I've had in the closet for a long time. And I've been waiting for a day like this to pull it out again and show it off. So that'll be exciting. And that will be next week. So, until then, my friends, happy National Popcorn Day, happy MLK Day to everyone. Take today and just, continue his word, continue his teachings, continue his mindset. We've never needed it more, in this day and age. We need togetherness and love and acceptance more than we've ever needed it in our modern times. So, take what he says today to heart, and just think on him and his teachings today. So, thank you for tuning in again, my friends, and until next week, stay spooky, my friends.